As you might imagine, quite a few voicemails. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, I'm calling from Youngstown, big Browns fan. I think we're better sticking with the coach and the management we have right now. We've done so much switching. Stability is better than he was two-time coach of the year, so you got to stick with him.
Yeah, I poo-poo all of the Barry and Stefanski stuff normally. This with 2-7, you have to at least listen to it. I still don't think I'd move on from them. What I would do though, I'd clean house with that offensive staff. That offense has been a disaster. It's just been a disaster.
Yeah, I mean those moves they've made, they certainly haven't been anywhere close to where they could have been. Deuce Staley coming in, Andy Dickerson coming in, Ken Dorsey's the offensive coordinator. Obviously, it hasn't meshed. I think we can all kind of see that it hasn't meshed. You could just see it out on the field, not just with the stats, but again, the eye test. It just hasn't been there for them. So yeah, that's something I clean out. And I agree with you. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry should certainly have the opportunity to get a chance to fix this. Andrew Berry basically saying that it was a collaborative decision to go for Deshaun Watson, and at the time it seemed like a sound decision considering Watson had great success in Houston. Obviously, this was the worst case scenario of all of this, that he has regressed to this level and now has another season-ending injury that'll take 9 to 12 months to heal. And then you have these two massive cap hits. That's about as bad as it could have gone, but I think there's enough goodwill there where they've taken this team to the playoffs twice in a 4-year stretch, something this franchise hadn't done since the 80s. So I think it's worth giving them another chance to see if they can turn it around. And personally, I don't think Andrew Berry's drafts have been that bad. Everybody says they're bad drafts. I don't think they have been. The issue is just they had a lack of draft capital. Again, 1 second-round pick in the last 3 years because they traded one of those picks for Elijah Moore, and then traded down in 2022 to get the multitude of thirds. So he hadn't even had a lot of high level draft capital to play with. So maybe a chance where now he has some to work with. We'll see what he does. Give him another chance, but the pressure certainly going to be on him to get this thing turned around.
Yeah, without question. And yesterday on the show, everybody wants to talk about the job John Dorsey did drafting. He did a nice job in 2018. But he had high picks. He had the first, fourth, and I think Chubb was the 39th. He had Austin Corbett in there. So he had 2 1s, 2 2s. Swing and a miss on Austin Corbett. The other 3 were at Baker Mayfield. I'd have taken either Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson in retrospect. Nick Chubb, a big hit. Denzel Ward, a big hit. Look at his next year. It looks a lot like the Andrew Berry drafts. He didn't have a first. Second-round pick, one great. Sione Takitaki's really he had Greedy Williams in that. There were a lot of misses in that. So your success immediately in the next 2-3 years always is dictated by having high draft picks. There's been a lot of chatter about Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski's job. And those things will happen when a team starts 2-7, falling way below. Remember, they're 2-7. You expected them to be challenging for the AFC Championship. Barry was asked if he thinks he and Stefanski will have the opportunity to turn it around.
Neither of us really think of it that way. Like, I'd say, number one, to myself, like I always view myself as a steward of the organization in this role. And really my focus is on doing the things that are in my control, short-term and long-term, to make sure it's in the best interest of the franchise. I would say, like, to Kevin specifically, I think there are 13 coaches in the history of the sport to, win a Coach of the Year award multiple times. 10 of them went to a Super Bowl or an NFL championship. 6 of them won one, and 7 are in the Hall of Fame. And he's the second fastest to do it. Like, Kevin's an outstanding coach, and he's absolutely part of the solution with everything.
And again, it's important to note, Kevin Stefanski does not report to Andrew Berry. Andrew Berry does not report to Kevin Stefanski. Both report to the owner, Jimmy Haslam. So he has no skin in the game to say he thinks he's a great coach.
Yeah, I think there's, something said for this partnership that they've had together. And again, the success they've had since 2020, getting the playoffs twice, finally winning a playoff game for the first time in the post-expansion era. There's certainly a lot of reasons to stick with Kevin Stefanski. I think, by and large, I think we can all agree he's just had a bad season. And that happens over the course of a long career. Sometimes you just have bad years for one reason or another. And you could point to, the offensive staff not meshing. You could point to issues on the offensive line with health, guys not coming back, at 100% from their season-ending injuries. You could point to the quarterback play not being good enough. You could point to a whole bunch of different things, and sometimes you just have bad years, plain and simple. The thing for the Browns is making sure this doesn't happen again. If you give them a chance, I think, to pull out of this, to get back on track, and or you move on from them, quite honestly. I don't know what quite honestly, I don't know what Jimmy Haslam's gonna do. I don't think anybody knows. I do think, we know the perception of the Haslam ownership has been they've been quick to move on from guys. I would imagine because of the success that Barry and Stefanski have had, they'd probably be more likely, because of that success, to get another shot to turn things around. But I would imagine both guys probably be on the hot seat going into 2025.